Okay, day 3 on this build. Kevin's gonna do a little bit of cleaning in that engine compartment, and he's gonna clean off that transmission. I'm gonna go over there and clean off the oil pan, and I'm gonna get it all painted up, paint the valve cover, and get everything looking nice. Kevin's about to wash this transmission. I'm about to paint this valve cover. That I wore the other day.
Now I gotta get that thing out of there.
You about to wash this? All right, a couple of things you won't need anymore is this canister. So you can just cut that out of there, and then you won't be needing that coil anymore. So cut that off too.
Oh, yeah.
Need an impact.
Yeah.
Now the fuel line that is on the big metal line, you're gonna use that as your return. You're gonna run a whole different fuel line for the pressurized side. But the return, you're gonna use that bigger hose that was your pressurized, your fuel sending. And this little one right here, you won't need that anymore. That's your old return. And when we take this coil off, we're gonna use the bracket that holds the coil to the body for our fuel pump. Have to do a little persuading. I don't think we need to keep that Phillips screw that we'll never use ever again. No. Trash.
Or no, let's just put it right here.
Yeah, I do. They're right here. All right, so you want to keep your coil plugged because that's going to go into your new harness. So we're just going to cut them loose. And keep this bracket.
Work.
So out of the back of the 1.6,
This is going to be like right here.
it's going to be 90-degree bent over to your heater core, and so this
A little cool on me.
coolant down your leg.
Yeah. So if
So
we turn that like
It's already
that,
got a 90-degree bend in it, so we're going to probably cut it about right there.
Yeah. And then we can just turn it.
Turn it and go in.
Go
Yeah,
in right there.
that was one of the leaks that we kept getting. Hopefully it busts loose without breaking the seal too bad. Okay. Poke a hole in it, Pocahontas. right, I got the timing done. Cleaning all the bracketry and painting everything up, making it look nice. This engine's getting close to being ready. The valve cover came out pretty good, huh? All right, that's about it on day, I think, 4. I don't know what day it is anymore. Everybody's parking vehicles. It's time to shut it down for the night. I just keep doing a little bit at a time. Hour here, hour there. It'll be done eventually. So, all right, so we have the harness run. John set it up to where we use the Sidekick, what is that thing, a grommet? The stock Sidekick grommet. And so we have the leads coming out for our mass airflow and the power steering. And then we ran it across the back. We have the coil right here. We have the connections for the engine itself. There's a couple little ground spots that need to get hooked up, and he labels everything. There's another wire that comes over the top of the inside of the dash, and it comes out right here, and it's got your little
Diagnostic port.
yeah, your diagnostic port, and a couple of more plugs and a couple more grounds. Okay, so right now I am just running the fuel line. Here's the main fuel line coming in, the high pressure line, and the main power going to the fuel pump. I'm just running it, following the frame here, and I'm just gonna zip tie it to the brake lines. Just goes back there, and then it all ends up back here. And so we're gonna mount the fuel pump along the frame rail here, and this is gonna be the wire that goes up to your ECU. On the harness, there's a wire that runs the fuel pump. And so here's my fuel line. We're gonna tap straight into the main line. We're gonna use the filter. I reused this filter. Kevin has had a bunch of problems with his. He's changed his filter a couple dozen times, but I use this filter. I have a metal high pressure filter that I'm gonna eventually put on, but you're gonna want a filter, and you're gonna want to mount your fuel pump somewhere in here. And I have mine mounted right up here. I used this bolt and just mounted it right there. And then you're gonna use the old fuel line. It's going to be your return. So you're gonna use that bigger fuel line as your return. I don't even know what day it is on this build, but it's the week after Memorial Day weekend. So I have been chipping away at it, as you've seen, like 2 hours at a time. Trying to knock it out as fast as I can. Kevin has been super busy this week with tire changeovers. You can see all the oil he just bought. Tons of oils behind me. But we almost got it. Tomorrow is Saturday, the weekend after Memorial Day weekend. And we're gonna come in at 8 a.m. and we're gonna knock this out. I just did a bunch of measurements for the oil pan. Kyle has, I don't know, it's a Trail Tough lift. It looks like it's 2.5, 3-inch lift or something like that. But it looks like I'm gonna have several inches of clearance from the bottom of the oil pan with the 1.6 liter 16 valve oil pan on there. A lot of people, whenever they do the 16V swap, they use the 1.3 oil pan, and you have to make your own pickup tube out of the 1.6 and the 1.3 pickup tubes. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross my fingers and try to install it that way with that 16V oil pan, and hope it doesn't hit. Well, obviously we'll cycle the suspension and stuff and make sure it won't, but that's the plan. Right now, preemptively, we're gonna go ahead and throw it in with the 1.6 oil pan, but we're a lot further along. I had mine sitting here, and I was getting measurements off of mine and measuring his. The wiring that we've done so far looks pretty good. We still need to clean up that back wall, that firewall, and all of the old plugs and stuff, but it looks like it's coming together. About to throw some of this right stuff on there. You don't use the gasket on these oil pans, you use RTV. And I prefer Permatex right stuff. All right, we got the RTV on. We're about to flatten that out. Got some on here too. All right, we got the bottom of the engine painted with some Right Stuff RTV. And we got the oil pan painted up too. It's going together. I located all of my oil pan bolts. It was easy to find them because some boomer put orange RTV on this thing to help it leak better. Don't forget your oil pickup. Got my oil pan on, it's all torqued up. We just about ready to go in. Sucker's looking good. It's clean. This is gonna be a pretty easy install. So I'm about to put those brackets on. Okay, so these Petroworks kits come all wrapped up. It's got all of your hardware for mounting it. There's two different brackets. One is kind of square shaped. The other one is kind of wonky shaped. The wonky shaped one goes just like this on the passenger side with this point going back towards the starter, and then this one bolts up just like that. So this mount has these offsets, and you can see that the block sticks out a ways. So them offsets go to the top. They send you 5 bolts, and those 2 long ones go in the offset top part. Okay, so here's how the mounts go on. The spacer part goes to the top, and this is what your mount's going to look like. It's going to be facing up. This part is facing up. So here's what the other side looks like. That little point goes to the back. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can't hardly mess these up. And that stop right there keeps it from going any further. And it'll sit in there just like that. And that's how that goes. So you have a little bit of adjustment front and back, so don't worry, it'll fit in there. Engine mounts are done. And now I need to start looking at mounting the transmission to the engine, and we're getting close. This Petroworks kit is awesome. It goes together so good. When they engineered this, they did a really good job. I really like this kit. This was missing the main fuel line coming in, so I just took one off of that intake over there and putting it together. Okay, I cleaned up a bunch of this wiring. Got rid of all of the old plugs that came from the original Samurai 1.3. I still have a few connections to make. I need to hook up the coil wire, and I got a couple of little plugs and stuff that need to be cleaned up. But we're really close right now. Kevin had to take off and run to the other side of town. I got all of my other little pieces and parts. I got a new alternator, new starter, you know, plugs, wires, cap rotor, all that good stuff. So it's all gonna be brand new. I'm about to put this engine in. I'm about to get it up on the lift and put the adapter on the back. All right, when you're mounting the gauge cluster and the ECU, you're gonna have a ground off of the back of the gauge cluster. You're gonna have a VSS wire. I think this is your door buzzer or whatever. And so the way that that's done is you throw a piece of heat shrink underneath that so it doesn't touch. And of course, that's where your VSS goes inside here. And then inside where the gauge cluster goes, we're gonna put the ECU on top of there. I'm gonna use a piece of Velcro. I just have some adhesive back Velcro. That way it'll be easy to take it in and out if you need to take it in and out. And I can't tell you how blessed I am to have all this help. All right. Got some Velcro on the back, and put some Velcro on the inside right there. And it's just gonna stick. The next thing I need to hook up is this fuel pump wire, and so I've run a red wire and some loom all the way back to where the fuel pump's going to be mounted. So I'm going to solder these together and heat shrink that up. Alright, as you can see, I have it tucked in there pretty good. Everything's plugged in. I got a quick disconnect for my VSS, and everything else is ready to go. It's all plugged in, ready to go. So we are a lot further along. We have the clutch on. I'm about to torque all that down. And we have the adapter on the transmission. And mounted the alternator. And I got that oil pressure sending unit on there. All right, we got the transmission all bolted up. This thing's ready to go in. Some people are fighting over here or what? Yeah, it looks good. Ready to go in. We got our starter bolted up. Everything's ready to go. Well, we got her in there.
That's probably the hardest part, getting those motor mouths.
Yeah.
Well, and the stub shaft.
Yeah, so the way that we're doing it is we're leaving the stub shaft hanging out of the transfer case, and then I'm getting underneath and stabbing it while Kevin pushes the engine back. And we had a jack underneath just kind of holding it all together to keep it at the right angle, but it's in there. That took what, maybe 40 minutes, something like that, an hour. Man, that looks good in there, dude.
Yeah, it does.
So
Get that duck thoroughly header on there, or
yeah.
figure out how we're gonna mate that to...
Yeah, we still need to figure out exhaust, and we have to hook up the fuel, and all the wiring's done. So I think that's going to be a wrap for this week. Go ahead and get this video out for you guys. We've done quite a bit. The only thing left is to do the fuel system. So we got to drop the tank and hook up the fuel pump, and we need to hook up the exhaust. So we got a couple of things left, but it's bolted in there. It's all ready to go. All the wiring's pretty much done. We got to put the gauge cluster back in, but that's just a few minutes. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching my video.